names come up, and then our first couple practices we had like at least 10 or 15 people show up, and we only had two tables at practice, so people actually had to wait in line to see what's going on, and like they were all just interested in playing, including Coach Dan Muller. He showed up to our table at the Sport Club Expo, and he was like, "What's going on here?" We're like, "We have a table tennis club," and he was like, "I might come to one of you guys' tournaments. Let me know whenever you have one." We're like, "Welcome."
Well, we have a long-standing rivalry with Toledo, Ohio. I personally hate them a lot. We beat them this year, which is great. Big accomplishment. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, it was an amazing feeling.
Yeah, it was
sure.
great.
I would definitely say that our favorite moment or story was when we had the university vehicle, the 12-passenger van. That was definitely enjoyable. We had about 12, young adults, just having a good time telling stories. So definitely enjoyed that.
We held our fundraiser tournament at Banner Marsh, and the one ISU boat that showed up, we won it. First place had 16 pounds, and then second place only had 5 pounds. So that was kind of cool for the club to see one team do real well and kind of, beat the other teams by quite a bit.
Funny story actually was we were gonna go stay at a hotel, but none of us that were staying at the hotel were 21 or older, so we almost couldn't check into our hotel, but he let slide.
Well, my favorite story or moment from the year was probably when we were leaving our hotel to go walk to Jersey Mike's, and there was a wild goose on the loose, and just so happened to attack Mr. Duffy right here.
I squared up, but it ran away.
It was with myself, actually. I just got done doing a really good tumbling class with my partner, and I stepped off the mat feeling awesome, and I just went down, and it was bad. But everyone still talks about it till this day, and is like, haha, you made a fool of yourself. But that's okay, we can all laugh at each other.
Before we go in, we ask, is the girth tight, which is what goes around the horse's belly and holds the saddle on. And they checked it, and they were like, yep, you're good to go. I go around my turn, and I'm going around a little bit, go around a turn, and all of a sudden the saddle starts slipping off. So their supposedly role model is on the horse just dangling off or going around. So I jumped off, and ever since then we've just been laughing about that, and that was their very first show memory of me and the whole team. So it's now our, there was a photographer who got a picture of it, so it's now our group me picture.
When we drove to Nashville, which is probably about a 6-hour drive, we took the fleet vans, 3 minivans, and everybody named the driver a different name for the moms. So you had what was it, funny mom, that kind of stuff. Safe mom. And we had a mom that took an extra 2 hours to get there because she took all the back roads to Nashville and she wanted to take the highway.
My favorite story or moment is probably not his, but when I saw him get disarmed by a 9-year-old.
She's 15. All right. For sure.
So first semester we played a high school team, and we ended up losing. So there was a lot of people oh, this team lost to a high school team. So and then the second time we played them, we destroyed them, and it's kind of for me it was a great moment to shut up some people.
I think this past weekend when our team upset Northwestern, that was the first win against Northwestern since my time being here, and my first win against them also. So that was huge for our club. Just a big moment.
Definitely beating DePaul in the last 5 minutes of the game. Doubleheader against UIC, then DePaul, and we had I think we had 2 subs.
Low numbers.
And we just kept fighting the whole way and pulled out at the end.
The season is when we beat a Lindenwood team. That was the first time, at least in the 4 years that we've been here, that's happened. So I thought that was a pretty cool moment to finally get a win over them.
I think that my favorite moment from this season was when we were playing U of I. We were tied with them, and then we won by stealing home in the 7th inning.
So when we went into the doubles tournament, we've had some of our B team players actually win against some of the other schools. And, people went nuts. Our whole team went nuts. We just Illinois State won. We finally have our first win. So that was one of our biggest, memories that we're always going to cherish ever since we started here.
Cool. We had probably the most boats that we've ever had travel to an event. We had 5 boats go to the Mississippi River in La Crosse, And that was really cool because we all stayed in the cabin together. We all got to kind of hang out, kind of get to know each other. Had a good time fishing. The fish were biting pretty good. So it was just all around just a fun trip, good trip to kind of get to know the new members of the club and just, hang out with everybody. And it was just a pretty fun trip.
The most impactful trip was definitely when we played at University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee because we stayed at my house back in my hometown and we got to have a lot of team bonding.
It was easy. We went to Florida for spring break as a team, played some baseball, went to the beaches. It was very well. It was very good for our team bonding.
The most impactful trip that we went on was Nationals, obviously. That's the only one that we go on, but it does just kind of define the season as a whole. Like, all that hard work that you put into the season, that's where it shows as far as, like, the hard work paying off and, like, what you were working towards, everything that you were doing was about came down to, like, that trip. So it was definitely impactful.
Probably our Iowa trip that we went to this year. We actually got to go and have a good time at the tournament. We went against people of similar skill rather than just getting crushed by people who've been doing it their whole lives.
That was definitely the best part. Not getting immediately destroyed by everyone.
Good.
So far, we definitely say U of I because we got exposure to different teams that we haven't seen before in the Big Ten because we're in the Midwest Division, so we see teams such as St. Louis, but in the Big Ten, we got to see U of I, Iowa, Purdue, teams that we don't usually play.
Probably our St. Louis tournament. We had we've not had that many people go to a tournament typically. We don't usually deal with that, and it was actually a bit of a stressful tournament. It wasn't run very well. But we all really bonded during that tournament, and even though we were stressed out and the people running the tournament weren't being very helpful with stuff, we I think really bonded, and we actually had a lot of fun. A bunch of the players went to St. Louis and got to just walk around and get food, and I think everyone had a really good time. It was a really good weekend.
Our Minnesota trip was a lot of fun, and as a team we came out 2-0 on the weekend, and we played some of our best lacrosse out there.
The most impactful trip this year would be we went out to Buffalo, New York to compete in a tournament out there, and we got to see Niagara Falls, and we spent a lot of time as a team out there doing some different experiences and things that you can't do in the Midwest, and going to Niagara Falls and just seeing everybody's excitement and getting to take that in was really, really awesome.
I would say Purdue. It was an absolute hoot. We got to, again, talk to other teams, really network ourselves, but also we got to know each other a lot and got to play some pretty good tennis in a great venue, so it was a lot of fun.
I think the most impacting one was definitely Daytona because we knew that we weren't, as high as Louisville or Kentucky or Navarro, and we just went in looking for fun, but also, focusing on what we were there to do as well. We were very supportive of each other and the outcome. We didn't do as great as we hoped, but everyone was happy with our performance as well.
Impactful would probably be regionals, just because it is such a big tournament and so many teams are there that the competition level just raises so much higher than what we're normally at, and we just all play as a team, and it's great energy and hustle from everybody.
I think our trip to Alabama, we went there and we struggled a little bit and had some inter-team conflict, and I think that tournament really set a tone for us to make some changes that were monumental to the rest of our season. So
going to Kentucky just because it was so far, and we had these 2 great wins. We did get one bad loss, but it was a learning experience.
We beat Toledo.
We beat Toledo.
Back to
Toledo.
Yeah. I don't know if there was a particular one that was the most impactful, but I think every trip is a different experience because we usually stay with different Quidditch teams. We get to meet new people. Our new members get to form bonds with people that they wouldn't have met otherwise. So overall, I feel like every trip's pretty impactful for our members.
That's awesome.
It's actually competitive.
Yeah, I think just a lot of people don't even know roller hockey exists, let alone at ISU. So
Yeah, we flop every time we're injured, which is partially true, but it's all for the call.
People just assume that we're a hip hop group or pom group, usually kind of just doing all pom stuff, but we're very much a technique-based group, so we do more lyrical or things that you would see at an actual dance competition rather than on the sidelines.
I think a lot of people still get us confused with Frisbee golf. So we are not Frisbee golf. We play on a field similar to a football field. and we throw the disc down the field to each other, making athletic skies and layouts, and a lot of bumping. So it's not frisbee golf; it is ultimate frisbee.
We're gonna go with injuries. I think just being on the outside, like with tackling people, you would think like you get hurt more often, which it's not the case. You get just as hurt, just as many bruises, that kind of thing, with any other regular sport.
I think the biggest misconception that people have is fighting. They think that every game they're going to go to that there's gonna be a fight, people are going to be brawling, and that's just not the case. It happens once in a while, but it's more of a rarity than something that happens every game. And I think people really have.
Well, it's Quidditch, so there's a lot of misconceptions. We're a serious sport with serious athletes, and it might not seem that way, but I mean, it's a very popular sport in Texas for people who used to play college football or who used to play high school football.
People think that cheerleading is not a sport. They're wrong. It's actually one of the most dangerous sports for athletes, mostly because it is people standing on top of other people, flipping, doing, just things that normal people in their normal day don't do.
Yeah.
And
Everyone thinks we're cheerleaders when we cheer on the court. We're not.
People who don't pay attention to baseball that often think it's slow and boring, and they're wrong, because it's just a lot deeper thought you have to put into it. I guess it's a little bit more analytical and a little bit more thought-provoking. But once you are in it, it's very interesting.
Maybe that it's easy. It's easier to hit a softball than it is to hit a baseball. A lot of people say that hitting a baseball is the hardest thing to do in sports, but that was actually proven wrong a couple years ago by Jenny Finch. So
The most common is that people just don't think that they are able to do it. Anyone can do it. If you come from a swimming background, if you come from a biking background, or just a running background, we can help you. We can teach you.
I think a big misconception about the sport in general is that people just think that we're some East Coast, preppy frat stars, if you will, but I'm wearing a flannel like a lumberjack, so I think that's a big misconception about us.
When we travel to an event, it's kind of a big deal. We go down there days in advance to practice, and you really have to find the fish. You can't just sit there on the bank and wait for the fish to come to you. You really have to go out. You have to find where they are. You have to find what they're biting on, and you have to figure out how to catch, how to beat 200 other boats that are trying to do the same thing as well.
A lot of people don't know what water polo is, so the first question we usually get is, do you have horses in the water? So the answer to that is no, we don't.
You really get that? Yeah, so for some reason people think golfers are soft or something, but that's absolutely not true. All of our tournaments were played in 30-degree weather. So if there was an award for the most gritty club, I would say we should receive it. Not that I need the validation of an award or anything, but golf isn't something soft like rugby. It takes some serious grit to get through.
You have to really develop a routine and develop a pace of play while you're playing. So our pace of play has definitely gone up, where we play very quickly and we know what we're doing, and that's definitely where we've grown.
Probably in our mentality, back when I started my freshman year, we wouldn't win much. We'd be happy to win 1 or 2 games, but now we have a winning mentality where we're all mad if we don't win and at least get to the championship game, and I kind of like that in the growth, so that now we expect to win and not expect to win 1 game a tournament.
With just an increased amount of participation, especially with our Purdue race in the fall, which is an Olympic distance race, we usually don't get as many participating, but we had quite a few relays, which is something new and that we're trying out this year, and it worked really well, so it was awesome seeing that. And
I think we definitely have a lot of on-the-field growth. We've done a lot of off-the-field stuff as well, but starting off 3-0, we haven't done that in close to 5-6 years, so it means a lot to us.
We have done better at being a team and not getting mad at each other on the court.
My executive board working with the incoming executive board has been really good. I think we've been transitioning really well. And I think actually that transition has helped bring the club closer together and bridge any personal divides that may have occurred in the past.
Of just
friendship. Like, we didn't really know each other at the start of the year, like I said, and now we are all really close and like actually see them as friends as opposed to just like teammates. So.
Definitely with the leadership. I thought the leaders brought the team together, especially him and Sibs.
Leadership, getting everybody to work together this season. I'd say out of any of the clubs, we probably try and branch out our leadership as much as possible. You know, we've got the 3 executive leaders that everybody has, but then we've also branched out. And all together, we've got about 7 or 8 of us that work together to run the club. So we've had a lot of growth there this year.
Why, hello there. Major accomplishment of club tennis this year has to be the first time we are ever having other teams come and participate in the what we are calling first annual ISU Redbird Spring Classic.
Being able to be part of the sports club program, so our biggest accomplishment itself was to compete in our first tournament at St. Charles, Missouri. So we were able to represent Illinois State for the first time as a table tennis club. We were able to go and compete against 7 other squads, and just being able to go out there and just put it all out on the line was the biggest accomplishment that we all have had.
The biggest accomplishment of our club this year is we were actually able to raise our attendance from about 200 to about 500 this year. So we saw a really large increase in just the engagement of the community in our club, and really
definitely being able to spend our money. We weren't able to spend a single dime of it, even the things we weren't given, like dues and whatnot. We had a lot of money that went unspent.
And we were finally able to spend it this year on new gear, new equipment, travel, trips, everything. It's all because of him. He did the heavy lifting with all that.
Yeah.
At our nationals tournament, we started off the first 2 days really poorly, and then on the 3rd day we were able to win like our whole bracket. It was like a bronze bracket, but it was still fun because the first 2 days we did not win a lot, and then the last day we actually won all of our matches, so it was fun.
Biggest accomplishment of our club this year was we added to our track team. In the past, we've had about 4 members to our track team. This year, we quadrupled that with about 16 members.
So our Western team, we had 3 new competing riders, and they actually achieved reserve high point team at one of their shows. And then our hunt seat team, we had 4 new riders, and one of them got Jamie Gerber. She was reserve high point rider at her first IHSA show. And then also we had 4 riders go to regionals, which was awesome for the hunt seat team.
Major accomplishment of our club this year was probably the friendships that we had made, and on top of that, the placement we had gotten in our conference this year. We had placed 5th, and with the conference that we have, it's very challenging to place high with the level of difficulty that we have in our conference.
I would definitely say the amount of numbers we have and the team bonding that we've created. We've created a really happy and energetic environment for our tournaments and practices.
Our club successfully hosted a 12-team tournament here on campus in the fall. We got to use Duffy Bass Field, which was a first for the club.
Our major accomplishment of the season was making it to finals, and not only doing that, but going into finals in 9th place, and then actually placing finals in 8th place. So that was a pretty big accomplishment for us.
In our qualifier, we got 2nd to Michigan State, which is huge because past years we got like last, and then we won another tournament at NIU, and that was big because we never won before.
I'd say definitely winning our conference again and being able to come on out undefeated would definitely be a highlight for us.
A major accomplishment of men's rugby was we went to the Elite 8 in the national championship. So we really got far, and it was a really good experience getting that far because it was the 2nd time that our club has ever made it that far.
Probably our biggest accomplishment is getting to 4th place in the college national poll, and it's kind of a great way to we finally feel like we earned it and we're getting the recognition we deserve.
Yeah. I think a big accomplishment that we had was getting invited to Florida Warm-Up. It's a nationally recognized tournament and one of the premier tournaments of the season. So it was really an honor for our club to be recognized and offered a bid to go play at that tournament.
So this year we made it to nationals, and that was a big accomplishment because we'd never done it before. So, I mean, we went to nationals because we were undefeated in conference.
This year. Well, we were the first club to bring our first aid kit back.
So there you go.